Hi, my name's Penny, and as usual, I'm here to talk about some bookish things. Specifically, today I'm going to be going through the books that I plan to read for the o.w.l.s Magical Readathon. So I'm going to try and keep this introduction short, so I won't go into a heap of details about the readathon because there is quite a lot to it. Basically, it's a Harry Potter inspired readathon. It's broken up into two parts. In April, we do our owls, and then I think in November, we do the newts. And the goal is to get the qualifications for a particular career path. Now, being a typical ambitious Slytherin, I'm aiming to become an alchemist. And what that means is that for my owls, I need to pass all 12 classes. So every class has a reading prompt associated. You can't double up on books, so I'm going to need to read 12 books for this readathon, which I think should be completely achievable, but we'll see how we go, I guess. Right now, let me tell you about the books that I'm planning to read. So the first class is Ancient Runes, and for this we need to read a book with a heart on the cover or heart in the title. And for this I'm going to read Two Hearts by Peter S. Beagle. This is actually a follow-on novella from The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. So The Last Unicorn was made into a movie, which was one of my favorite movies as a child. Probably it still is. It's absolutely beautiful. And when I finally got around to reading the book, I found that it has kind of the same feeling, a very fairy tale magical feeling. So I'm excited to see what the novella will cover, as well as that it is available for free on the author's website, and it's fairly short, so it's perfect for this readathon. The second class is Arithmancy, and for this we need to read a book that is outside your favorite genre. My favorite genre is fantasy, possibly sci-fi, so what I've decided to go with is Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I think it's also Spiral into Horror if you want to use English. Basically, Junji Ito does a lot of horror manga stuff. For Christmas, my brother gave me Fragments of Horror. It's up there, and I really loved it. That's a short story anthology. I don't think this is, but I'm really excited. I love kind of how dark and creepy his stuff is. Ooh. And as well, since it's a graphic novel, it should be quick, although it's pretty chunky, so I guess we'll see. Then the next class is Astronomy, where you need to read the majority of the book while it's dark outside. And for this, I'm going to read The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. So I borrowed this book from my sister, and I'm really excited to read it. And it didn't fit with any of the other prompts, so I guess it's going to be the one that I'm reading while it's dark. It's set in a futuristic Disney where all the actors have been replaced with AI robots, and then one of them has been accused of murder. I'll admit that I mainly got this because I figured even if it's not any good, at least it would be Instagrammable for my sister. But in the end, she really loved it, so I'm hoping that I'm going to love it as well. The next class is Care of Magical Creatures. And for this, we need to read a book with a creature with a beak on the cover. And for that, I'm going to go with Death and Resurrection by R.A. McAvoy. On my TBR machine, TBR, I just read the back, where it says it's an intriguing story of a Chinese-American artist who gains the ability to travel between the worlds of life and death. However, after that video, I noticed that it also talks about a veterinarian with a remarkable dog, Resurrection. And so I'm more excited to read this now because I want to know about the dog called Resurrection and how the dog fits into the story. Also, you'll see there's a bird on the front, so it fits the prompt. Next, we have Charms, and for this we need to read a book with white on the cover, and I have selected Shifters by Jean Gilbert. So this is a Vault Agency novel. I believe it's some kind of time travel agency. I don't know. It's a self-published book that I picked up a while ago because the mother of the author gave me quite a hard sell. I think so, or at least that is my memory of what happened. Who really knows, but I am interested to read this, somewhat concerned because self-published books don't always pan out as having the best writing. But as I said in my last TBR, that's not always the case. It could be amazing, so fingers crossed that it will be. Then next we have Defense Against the Dark Arts, and this is the first prompt where I'm going to use an audiobook to meet the prompt. So I've got a hold on Ship of Destiny, which is the third book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. In this trilogy, there are these live ships who gain their own consciousness, and it follows a whole bunch of drama happening within the families that own these live ships. It has been a little while since I read the second book, but I think once I get into it, I'll remember what was happening, and I'm really glad to be back to the series. The next class is Divination. Now for this one, we need to just randomly select a book, and I'm going to be fully transparent with you guys now. I already filmed this video once, so I'm just going to go with the one that I randomly selected on camera in my previous filming. Let's not get into why I deleted all of that. But anyway, it ended up spitting out the number 1 of the 25 books on my physical TBR shelves that I can pick up right at this moment. And that is a new acquisition. It is Her Fearful Symmetry by Audrey Niffenegger. Now, I admit the main reason I picked this up, it was only 50 cents down at the thrift shop just down from my house. But I picked it up because Audrey Niffenegger is the author of The Time Traveler's Wife, which I really enjoyed. I believe this one's going to be kind of mostly a contemporary with a little bit of like some kind of speculative elements, the same as The Time Traveler's Wife. So I'm excited to get to it. Especially since I just bought it. Like, how rare is it to read a book so soon after you actually buy it? It's rare for me. Nextly, is nextly a word? Nextly, we have Herbology, where we need to read a book that starts with the letter M, and for this I'm going to go with The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards. I did have this on my TBR a couple of months ago, but I never got around to reading it, so I'm putting it back on the list. This is about a couple who have a Down syndrome baby, and then the father hides that baby away and tells the wife that the baby died. I picked this up for my TBR machine prompt for a sad book, which I am pretty sure it's going to be a sad book. The next class is History of Magic, and I've never been good at history, so I haven't quite locked the book for this prompt down yet. I have put a hold at the library on The Bone Witch by Rin Japeko, which I don't know much about other than I think she's some kind of necromancer witch and kind of ostracized from the rest of society. But I think what I actually want to read for this prompt is Circe by Madeline Miller, which is like a retelling of Greek mythology following the witch Circe, who features in the Odyssey and the story of Odysseus. I've been hearing some really good things about it, and I heard that the audiobook is really good, so I think I might get it with my Audible credit, but we're gonna wait and see what April brings before we commit to any of that. I might have to cancel my Audible account if I don't get a job, so we'll see. Nextly again! It is a word, right? Anyway, nextly, we have Muggle Studies, where we need to read a book from a Muggle's perspective, and for this I'm going to go with Amy, My Daughter, which is a story written by Amy Winehouse's father about her life and her death, trying to tell his side of the story, since most people don't have a very good view of his part in the story, but I'm interested to see his perspective, and he's definitely a Muggle, so it counts for this prompt for sure. Next we have Potions, where we need to read a book under 150 pages. And for this I'm going to be reading the first volume of the graphic novel The Wicked and the Divine. I have got it out from the library on my iPad since the libraries are closed. That was the only way I could get it. And if I'm completely honest, I don't really remember what the series is about anymore. I do remember people reading it a little while ago and some people saying it was good. So since it was available at the library, that's what I decided to go with. And then lastly, we have Transfiguration, for which we need to read a book that includes shapeshifting. For this, I'm actually going to listen to the audiobook of Magic Bites by Alona Andrews. This is actually the first book in the Kate Daniels series, which is one of my favorite series. It's a 10-book series, and I recently finished it. Recently? I think it was actually last year, the beginning of last year. Anyway, I really love all the characters in this series, and I kind of miss hanging out with them, so I thought I would try doing a reread of the whole series in audiobook form, so I'm going to give that a go, and hopefully I'll really love the audiobooks as well as the physical books, even though, like, I admit this cover's really ugly, but the covers did get better as the series went along, and the series got better as it went along, so I'm really excited to be back in the world with Kate Daniels. So that is all 12 books that I'm going to be reading for my owls. Do let me know if you're going to be participating in the o.w.l.s readathon, or whether you've read any of the books that I'm going to be reading and whether you think I'm going to like them. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are staying safe, looking after yourself. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.